Hi everyone, welcome again to another Teacher Joseph video clip. Motivation and what gives us energy to learn is something which is very interesting. And many of you have been asking about this when you've been talking to me on Skype or Zoom. Now, there is an opinion based upon American psychology that motivation is something that is there or isn't there. It's almost like it's a noun. It's something real and it comes and goes. But what I found is that that isn't really true. We often use the word motivation as an excuse not to do something. Oh, I wasn't motivated. I didn't feel like it. I was feeling kind of sad. And that's okay. It's okay to feel sad. It's even okay to not want to learn. But when you put it into a box and you say, it's because I didn't have motivation, then you have a problem. Because it's not the lack of motivation that creates you not learning. It's what creates the lack of motivation of you not learning. Motivation in itself, I think, doesn't really exist. I mean, if you want to do something, you do it. If you don't, you don't. That's it. There's no big mystery about it. Either something gets done or something doesn't. Now, there's all kinds of reasons why you don't learn, okay? It could be that you just don't have time, which is fine. That's perfectly okay. It might be that you have family issues. Perfectly fine. There's no problem with that. But it's about being honest with yourself. Because just to say I wasn't motivated, the honesty would be better. I was tired, for example. Yeah. But when you hide behind this word motivation, you're not dealing with what's really happening. So let's just think about that for a minute. Think back to the last time you weren't motivated, okay? What was happening? Is it that you had a hard night before? Maybe you didn't sleep? Was it that you had other things to do? Maybe to go to the gym? Maybe you hadn't organized time? Maybe your boss asked you for a favor? Maybe you had to go out for dinner and meet a friend? Maybe you had to cook dinner? All perfectly valid excuses. And it shows that you do want to study English, but unfortunately other things were there. To say I wasn't motivated simply means the energy wasn't there. But why wasn't the energy there? Parties? Other things? Too much work? Too much family? That's what we're looking for here. And it's okay to be like that. It's okay not to have time. Part of the problem with this whole thing is many of you, after you don't feel motivated, you then punish yourself. Oh, I wasn't motivated. It's terrible. It's sad. It's awful. I'm a bad person. My English will suffer. The teacher's going to ask me why I didn't do my homework. And what do I say? It's like a cycle. It starts off with I wasn't motivated, and then it turns into this cycle of shame. If you can be brave enough just to ask why, you'll find that there's no big scary reason behind not being motivated. It's probably something simple. You spent too long watching TV. You didn't have any contact with English all week. So when your English lesson came, you hadn't done any homework, you hadn't done any preparation. So it just felt bad, you know? And these things are not bad things. What would be really good for you would be to try to move away from putting this idea of good and bad in your language. Because it seems to me that the more we classify things as bad, we somehow give them more power. We kind of see them as a living force which is working against us. And that's not it at all. Something as simple as changing your time management can really do a lot of great things for your English. I want to encourage you today to try to move away from number one, this idea of motivated and demotivated, like it's something which has power, because it doesn't. Number two, this idea that there's good things for your English and bad things working against your English. That's not really helpful, and it's also really not true. So if you start with demotivation and just ask yourself what you've been doing, maybe you've been working too much. Maybe there really isn't time there to learn English. And I say again, that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing there to punish yourself with. It's perfectly fine. You know, when people learn English, they usually do it for a reason. At least when I was growing up, there was a reason to learn something. In the days before the internet, you wanted to be different. You wanted to change your life. You wanted to explore and travel. There were reasons. I think part of the problem is today, some people just choose to do things because it's like a lifestyle choice. There's no real depth to it. It's just one day they say, I want to learn English. They rush away, they book an English lesson, and then after the first lesson, they think, you know what? Maybe I really don't, because this looks like I have to study. We're living in a world now where everything is bought and sold. So, people come to me and they say, okay, I'm paying you, so you give me English. And I try to explain it doesn't quite work like that. You need to do something. And even if I give you grammar, you're not going to remember it unless your mind is clear and you have some kind of study plan. And if you don't, we can agree one together. For some people, they don't understand that. It's not something which they're aware of. They think English is on the supermarket shelf and they go and take it and buy it, and that's it. That's the way life is these days. That's why when it comes to things like motivation, this word is used as some kind of power. And we sometimes hide behind it because we don't want to face the reality that we simply don't have enough time, or we have other priorities, other things that we need to do. Today, I'd really like you to consider how important English is. Now, if it's not up there as being in the top three, four, maybe five things in your life, you might want to reconsider. Maybe you can change some priorities around to put English there. It's also possible that there's something about English that maybe you don't want to look at. I remember when I was learning Farsi, Persian, the language of Iran, the one thing that I really, really had a problem with was the script. They use the Arabic scripts, the different letters, and I really didn't want to face that. And I would have done anything rather than try to practice it. And that really stopped me moving forward with studying. And every time I wanted to study Farsi, this image of the script would come up, and I would think, you know what? I really, really don't like that. I really, really don't want to study that. Different things happened. I discovered that I could learn to speak Farsi without the script. I also discovered that the script was much more formal, and things which were written were very different from the way things were spoken. So I decided to focus on the speaking in order to run away from the script. But sooner or later, I had to face it. And when I did, it wasn't the script that had been the problem. It was my thinking about it that was the problem. Because the more I thought about it, the more difficult it became in my mind, and even my body was tensing about it. When you change your thinking about something, it gets a lot easier. The problem isn't usually a problem, it's usually the thinking about the problem which is the problem. So, whatever your reason today for not being motivated to learn, you don't need to be, hurting yourself with a whip. You just need to really ask yourself, do I have enough time to learn? What other things do I have? That's much better than saying, I'm demotivated, I don't have the energy. It's better to deal with the problem, just to look in your mind a little bit and see all of the other things that are in there. Another thing which might be quite good if you really are struggling to motivate yourself is just to remind yourself why you're learning English anyway. Obviously, at some point when you bought the English books and you were feeling joyful, maybe after a holiday, there was something there. There was a mindset, a consciousness there that was saying, I'd love to learn that. What happened? Did it just disappear? Did it get washed away with the other responsibilities of life? Another good exercise is just to ask yourself today, well, what's my priorities? And as I mentioned earlier, just to write down 5 really important things. Now, when I say priorities, I'm not really talking about things you have to do. I'm talking about things you want to do. I'm talking about things that would bring you joy. Now, I know that not all of these things are priorities exactly. Going to work, earning money is always up there as being something. But what really brings you joy today? What really motivates you? If you ask yourself this question and you get maybe 5 different answers, And I recommend you do this over a number of days, not just in one moment. You might be very surprised what's there. Also, who knows? Maybe English is farther up the list than you thought. And it's something to work towards. It's definitely something to think about. Check your joy level. See what's making you joyful today and see how you can prioritize a little bit. That conflict of what you have to do and what you might do or could do to make you happy, when they conflict, that is when stuff like motivation comes up and demotivation. And it's very easy to fix. You just have to look at what your priorities are and what's up there helping your joy level. That's it from me. I'll see you soon. Bye.